Hello, and we have finally reached the final part of this week's comic book reviews. Only three more books to go, and starting with Batman and Robin Eternal, what number are we up to? 14. Number 14. And we begin this issue with a flashback and just a great image to start a book with. The Batmobile racing through Prague, jet engine firing. Just a great first panel. Really gets you right into that Batman mood. And as I said, it's a flashback, and this page too. Just a great way to open the story with Batman and Robin chasing down Scarecrow and busting through the factory wall in Prague, where he's making his fear toxin. And then we have Batman and Robin fighting a bunch of goons together when Batman is suddenly called away by the Scarecrow in order to discuss Mother. Then we cut to the present at the nursery, where we left off last issue, with Dick Grayson, Cass Kane, and Harper Row all in the nursery, where Mom is planning to nuke the facility and all of her children in it. And also orphan David Kane, Cassie's father, is there. And they get into a big fight because, despite Mother planning to blow everything up, David Kane is loyal to her for whatever reason. So then our group splits up as Cassie and Harper decide to try and find the control room in order to stop the nuke, while Dick and David have a bit of a scuffle on their own. As the book goes on, we catch back up to another great scene over here. I'm loving these, just kind of really, really iconic looking Batman images right here with the Batman and the villain, or the tank of acid or whatever, tank of chemicals. There's really good looking Batman stuff in this book. So we catch up back with the flashback, where we see the details of Batman's meeting with Scarecrow, and then of course catch up with our heroes in the present as they try to escape the nuke and all of that stuff. This is a pretty fun issue in the series. We get a lot more Batman in this than we usually do, and we had a really good Batman, like I said, kind of reusing all that really iconic Batman imagery to move the story ahead. We also get we get the beginning of a good fight scene with David and Dick, but we're kind of cheated out on it by the end. But what we have is pretty cool, as David tries to get into Dick's head and make him doubt Batman and all that. And then, of course, we have some bonding between Harper and Cassie, which is always nice, seeing them work together, and then kind of, as they believe that they might die, have a kind of a close heart-to-heart, I really care about you kind of moment. And so that's really fun. Really enjoyable issue of this book. Just wish it would move a bit faster at this point, really want more of the story. I want it fast. I want it all, Next up, we have... That was the only DC book this week, so next up we have Paper Girls issue number 4, and we're really getting into the cool stuff now with this book. Just going full sci-fi, really cool stuff. But also, this book is funny. There's still lots of humor in this book. We begin with our future time traveler night guys, the ones riding the dinosaurs, as one of them calls back to their leader, who's this old dude who kind of looks like an old hippie in the Public Enemy t-shirt. And they discuss what's going on in the book. And I really love their slang. I really love just the way they talk. On this page, he's discussing what's happened, and he says, "Aye up, Carnelier, Maxima for calls, sir, but troubles. Alistair's been unmoored, and the masters what did him have ghosted. Batter, they may take in stragglers." I love that. I love the slang in this. I think I said last issue, it reminds me a lot of the slang in A Clockwork Orange, in that it's fictional. But it feels so real. This could be how people talk. It feels like a natural progression of the language. It's just really cool. It's like a mix of Cockney, a bit of like American slang. It's really, really neat. Loving the language of this book. But the rest of the book, even outside of that, is really fun to read. As we then catch up with our protagonists, the Paper Girls, as they're following these ninja teens through the sewers. We get a little bit more backstory. These guys are also from the future, the year 13, because they rolled back the calendar after the calamity, which I'm sure we'll find out more about. And we even get some, like even though their future kind of sucks, apparently, they're still more progressive, because this is like 1988, and Mac, like he says, the reason that they're against the night guys is because they killed his boyfriend. Mac says, gross, and then the teenage ninja guy says, don't worry about it, you guys are from an effed up time. Because, like, you know, homophobia is effed up, and they're regressive and everything. It's cool how they acknowledge that, because I know someone who took issue, the first issue of this book, when Mac called one of the guys a faggot, and so now it seems like the book is saying, no, we're like we don't condone use of that language. We think that's kind of fucked up, and so that's pretty cool that they're kind of making that more overt. And then as they're going through the sewers, the gang gets attacked by this Beyonder-looking thing, which is just really cool. It ends up grabbing Tiff, whose life flashes before her eyes in this double spread here, and it's just her playing too much Alleyway, or could be Arkanoid, I guess, but there's like too many video games, and that's her life flashing before her eyes, and how she reacts to that's kind of funny. So this book it still manages to be funny. It's cool. You get the action, like I said, of the Beyonder attack. Beholder, not Beyonder. Beholder. That's the D&D monster, right? With the thing. Anyway. Yeah, this book is fantastic. I love it. And then we end with them outside the sewers, and they're going to try and heal Erin, but we find out maybe the ninja teens aren't so trustworthy after all. This book is fantastic. I am loving it. We're finally getting into like the real sci-fi bits of it. As I said, I love the language. I love like the slang. All the characters are great. Even Mac, who's kind of despicable. Like Mac is not a kind, nice person, but she's charismatic in a way. Like there's a reason she's kind of the leader of the girls, and that's made kind of apparent, that, like, you know, readily apparent through the book. The art too, I haven't really mentioned, but the art is fantastic. I'm loving I just love everything about this book. There's nothing bad about it. Like it's amazing. Even in the sewers, this book is bright and colorful. So yeah, this book is fantastic. Paper Girls, pick it up. And the last book of the week, and maybe tied with Paper Girls for the best, is the long-awaited return of Bitch Planet, issue number 6, the backstory of Mako Maki. It sounds like it should be more fun. I'm sure it's fun to say if you can actually say it. Mako Maki. It's fun to say. It's a fun name. But we get her backstory, and the book does come with a content advisory for images of sexual assault. So if you are sensitive to that, you should probably stop watching this review. That's fine. Thank you for watching up to this point. If not, we will go on ahead. So, as I said, this book covers the backstory of Mako Maki. I can never say it right the first time. And skipping to a page I can actually show, we see her family life, which seems really happy, actually. She has mother and father. The mother's a teacher. The father, we find out, works for the government, for the patriarchy, building weapons. We find out more about that. She has a sister, and they seem really loving and caring. And then we find out they are actively rebelling against the patriarchy. the teaching that Mako's mother does is it's illicit, or at least that's the impression I got reading it, was that she's not supposed to be teaching these girls stuff like calculus or anything like that. And the whole thing is under the guise of music lessons. And meanwhile, Mako's father is actively sabotaging the government's weapons to make them explode. And it's not like guns and stuff, it's just like warships. And so he's actively sabotaging stuff like that. Unfortunately, Mako's father's boss finds out about the sabotage, and instead of reporting him, blackmails him. And we find out his name is Doug, and he is a yellow fever pedophile. He is a despicable human being who blackmails the father in order to get him to get one of his daughters, either Mako or Mako's sister, to sleep with him, which is disgusting because it's just, I don't have to explain why it's disgusting to blackmail a father into getting his underage daughter to sleep. Even if they weren't underage, it's disgusting. So, like, within one issue, they make this guy just heinous, just awful. And then the rest of the book, we find out how Mako takes this arrangement into her own hands and finds her own non-compliance, and eventually how she ends up incarcerated in jail. This is a fun issue. We get a hateable villain, likable heroes. Like, Mako is so awesome, especially what she does at the end of this book, because like the whole book is setting up, it's all going one way, and then it doesn't. Then it goes the completely opposite direction, and like I looked at that page, I looked at what happened, especially considering what I thought was going to happen, and I was like, I put the book down, I was like, oh my god, that was so cool. And it's cool in a completely like fictional way, in that, and then Kelly Sue goes on in this book about, at the end of this book, Kelly Sue writes about actual violence versus depictions of violence. And I mean, this whole book is kind of there's a bit of revenge fantasy up there. It's grindhouse, it's kind of an exploitation thing. So Kelly wrote in her back matter about how there's whether she believes that violence is completely wrong in every respect, or are there exceptions that she makes, and for certain causes or certain specific reasons to be violent towards someone else. And so the end of this book is violent, and it's violence in a way that, again, makes you cheer. Like, our hero does something violent, but does something that is justified within the story. But yeah, it's that weird, divide. Like, I would never condone something like this in real life, but it's damn cool in the book. So it's that sort of ending. And then we get two really big back matter things. We get an essay about schemas, which are gender and race-based stereotypes. It's a bit more complicated than that, but I don't, pick up the book and read the essay because it's fantastic. And then an interview with Megumi Igarashi, who's a Japanese artist who uses images of vagina in her art, which is very, very taboo in Japan. And there's an interview with her about the trouble she's gotten. She's gotten arrested twice, and then why she continues to do this, what she gets out of it, that whole sort of thing. And then, of course, letters to the editor, including one that provokes a rant from what's the name? From Danielle Henderson. So that's pretty cool. Bitch Planet, really fun book. Really, just, I say this every issue, like, really important. Like, it's great that we're getting, an aggressively feminist kind of book, I love the style, like the grindhouse exploitation style. I'm loving how Kelly Sue is using that as a, as kind of as a mirror, kind of how exploitation really works, and it's a good satire. Like, nothing about this book is bad. It's just fantastic all around. And once again, Bitch Planet. First 5 issues are in trade. Pick up issue 6. Just amazing, great stuff. And that is it for this week in comic books, at least the books I picked up and reviewed. Thank you for watching. If you care about Spider-Man or other Marvel heroes, those are in the previous 2 videos, so if you missed those are up by now. And thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it. If you want more every week, please subscribe. That's about it. Any comments, questions, book recommendations, opinions, anything you want to discuss, leave them in the comments and I'll try and get to them. And yeah, I think that's my spiel. I think I'm done this week. So thank you for watching once again, and I hope that you will join me next week for some more comic book reviews.